Yeah, hello.
Hey, Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry the first couple times we tried to get this together, we had some conflicting schedules, but I'm
All
glad
good.
I'm glad we got it now.
Yeah, this is perfect. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so our podcast is about your journey in the music industry and how you got to where you are today. I know
All right.
the Acacia Strain has a lot of records. I think what do you have, like the 10th one that you guys just put out?
Yeah, I'd say I think it's the 10th one. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll go through, the history of the band and how you got into music, if that's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Right on. Are you also from Massachusetts as well?
No, I am originally from Connecticut, and I lived in Connecticut pretty much my whole life until I moved up to upstate New York about 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm 34 now. So yeah, like right before I was 30, I moved up to New York, and it's where I live now is way better than where I grew up. So
right on. How'd you get into music?
for me, so my father played drums also.
Oh, okay.
And like most bands, the drummer's house is where you have band practice because, it really sucks having to lug a million pieces of gear to the bass player's house per se.
Right.
So they would always have band practice at the houses I was growing up in. So I would say I was pretty much born into music. For as long as I can remember, I just always remember hearing music being played in the basement, going down and watching, and then just being completely fascinated with drumming and just being mind blown that somebody could do what they do behind a drum kit, move your body like that and make such incredible noise with it. So that was my first taste of music was literally from birth, I would say.
Wow.
Yeah, so music has been my life for as long as I've been alive.
That's amazing. Your dad was a drummer, you said?
Yes, he was. Well, he still is. But
is he in bands or does he play professionally?
He's been in like cover bands and stuff like that. I think he's had chances to, back in the day to bring things to another level, but chose not to appease, family and stuff. As
Sure.
Different times back then, strict Catholic parents and all that kind of jazz. So
yeah, right on.
Yeah,
right on.
yeah.
So have you seen him play? Like when you were younger, did you go to
Oh yeah, there was
forum and stuff?
Whenever there was a chance, like if it wasn't a bar, because I mean mostly the bands he was in were playing like bars and clubs that I would be too young to get into or be allowed to go to. So any chance I got to see him play places where I was allowed, my family would be there. And there was actually one point when I was I think like 14 or 15, he'd got a herniated disc in his back, and his band had a show. The band he was in called High Speed Steel at that time, and there's another cover band, and they were opening up for Winger.
Oh, wow.
And he got the hernia. Yeah, he got the herniated disc, so I got tapped on the shoulder to play that show. So that was cool.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You got to play fill in for your dad?
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Wow, that's awesome. That's really. Had you ever played live before, or was that kind of your first experience?
No, I was already in, just a couple little bands here or there with friends where we would we would just gather all of our other friends together and like play in a garage, in front of like our 15 to 20 friends at like a party or something. And
sure.
There was a couple like little VFW or like YMCA basketball court shows that we played, but that wasn't like my first taste, but it was at that time it was probably the most important show I've ever had because we were opening up for a Winger. So
yeah, that's so rad.
It was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Okay, from there, you said you were in other bands. What was like the first kind of serious band you joined?
First serious band I was ever in was a band called Among Shattered Dreams.
Okay.
And just not very similar to the Acacia Strain, but it was heavy breakdowns, and it was my first taste of like playing shows, because I'd been going to hardcore shows before that, but it was my first taste of like actually playing those shows. And then getting more of an exposure to the whole hardcore scene, because we were playing so many shows all over like around New England and around Connecticut and Massachusetts. So that was the first real band, I guess you could say, where we had all of our own songs. And same thing, I was a drummer, so band practice was at my house every like Tuesday and Thursday, and we'd sneak out back behind the shed and smoke a little pot or something like that, and then go back and go back inside and then just write some stuff. But so yeah, that was my first taste. And then from there, there was another band from my hometown. They were called 1,000 Falling Skies. And they were like, because I came from a little town called Naugatuck, Connecticut. And, if you were into heavy music or into the hardcore scene back then in Connecticut especially, you knew who that band was. And since they came from our hometown, everybody that lived there, we were like all diehard fans of them. And two members of that band happened to my father was their boss. They,
wow.
My dad worked at he was an eyelet tool maker. So they fabricated a lot of like this metal, like little metal pieces for, just about anything, like even like little metal pieces you'd find in like a vending machine, or just like little just
like
weird,
like nuts and bolt type things, or
yeah, kind of sort of like that. But so the two guitar players worked under my father at a factory he was at. So they had already known, that I'd been playing pretty much my whole life, playing drums, and they had seen me play, and that band Among Shattered Dreams had played a couple of shows with 1,000 Falling Skies. So they already knew, I was capable. I'm only like 17 or 16 when I joined that band. Wow. And they had left. Their drummer George had quit the band, and then they asked me to play. And being the 16-year-old kid that's just joined like his hometown's like rock star band,
sure,
at least in my mind at that point, that I was joining a band. Yeah. And the age gap was like, I think the next youngest person in the band was like 24 or 25. I'm this like little 16-year-old kid back there playing drums. So that was cool. And then we got to play on more of a national level, playing more than just Connecticut and Massachusetts every weekend, going on little 3-day weekend, tours, as if you want to call it, playing all over the place. And one band that we played with very frequently was the Acacia Strain.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we became, they were already friends with the guys before I joined the band. And then when I joined, quickly, became friends with everybody in Acacia Strain. And then the first like real tour I ever did was when I was still playing with 1,000 Falling Skies, and it was like a 12-day, like 2-week little like out to the Midwest and back. And it was us in Acacia Strain that did that. So, and during that tour, everybody else in my band, they were all getting the feeling that they might be a little too old to keep trying at that point to get somewhere. And Acacia Strain had a fill-in drummer at the time, which so happened to be was Mark Castillo from Bury Your Dead, and he was yeah. So that was another cool thing too, like being on tour and playing alongside with him. But then in the middle of that tour, everybody in 1,000 Fallen Skies were like, yeah, I think this is gonna be it. So I was like kind of bummed out, like, oh damn it, like I finally get to do something with music, but they all want to quit. But it's like, it's all right. I get it. They were all, old to me at that point.
Right.
And then it just so happened, Acacia Strain had a fill-in. Mark was going to be very, very, very busy with Bury Your Dead after that tour, because this is like 2004. So that's when Bury Your Dead was really, really, really on the up and up then.
Right.
And DL, the guitar player at the time, pulled me up on the roof of this venue in Texas called the Blood Red Club. And we sat there, we were just chilling. And then he's just like, hey, let me ask you something. And I was like, what's up? He's like, do you want to play drums for us? And I was like, and at that time, you know, I had listened to Acacia Strain. I will be 100% honest, and I've said this before. Like, I loved everybody in the band. I just wasn't the biggest fan of the music, to be honest. And then knowing how the previous drummer, Ben, how he had recorded the drums on record, you know, they were a little more simple, which I knew I could handle, but Mark had put his own spin on everything. So he made everything a little more difficult. And I was, you know, I was a little scared at first. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play this stuff the way that Mark's playing it. But luckily, somehow it all clicked with me. And then now here I am now, 16 years later.
Yeah, man.
You know, yeah, it's been a very wild ride. I've done many, many things I never thought I would, and been places I never thought I would see. And it's, yeah, man, it's really mind blowing. Very fortunate to have the career that we've had with this band.
Yeah, I'll say, man, yeah, you guys are doing amazing. You have 10 records out. I mean, that's insane in itself. What was the first album that you played on? The Dead Walk? Yeah, Dead Walk was the first record, and that was the first time I ever had to record with a click track. Because before that was always just like a little 4-track recorder on a cassette tape with one mic hanging from the ceiling. Sure.
And then the one 1,000 Falling Skies record I did, that was a professional recording, but it was all just live. You know, I didn't do no click track or anything. So we all sat down with Adam D. We all had like a dinner meeting about, you know, for pre-production and stuff for Dead Walk. And, you know, I'm sitting there all confident that I'll be able to do the record no problem without a click track. I don't need it, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, all right, we can like give it like we'll give it one shot without the click track. We'll see how well you could do. And then I think he just did it just to humor me. But, you know, I got like 30 seconds into a song and like I messed up or something like that. I was like, all right, we can take that from the top. He's like, yeah, we're going to try that now with the click. And then we're gonna one shot. Yeah, he's like, and now we're gonna but we're gonna do the whole record like that, all right? And I was like, all right, man, fair enough. You are Adam D. You do know what you're doing. You are very professional. I'm just this little shithead kid over here thinking that I was, you know, thinking I was better than I was. But yeah, it was that record was you know, my first like real like super professional recording. So that was definitely an experience. Yeah. A good, yeah.
Was that the first time you had ever met Adam D also, or were you?
Yeah, me first. Yeah, that was my first time, because I know they did their 2 previous records with Adam. So so 3750 and then yeah. Yeah,
were you a fan of his band at all, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, I still think Killswitch Engage can do no wrong. Every record they put out is perfect. They're one of those bands for me that I'll never not be a fan. They could put out, you know, a pop record and I would go, I mean, they basically are putting out metal pop records, but
right.
But they could put out an actual like Kid Bop record and I'd be all about it. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Yeah. So that was probably a really cool experience to be able to meet him and work with him directly.
Yeah. It was a little surreal, you know, when you're sitting there, you know, because I knew at that point too, that like he was the original drummer for Killswitch also, you know, he recorded drums on the first couple records. So it was like, not only am I sitting there with, you know, Adam D from Killswitch, it's at that time, one of my favorite drummers also. So it was a little surreal and kind of starstruck for a minute, but you know, it's just like anybody like that. Once you meet them, you get to know them, and then you just end up on that friendly basis. All that stuff goes out the window, you know?
Sure. Wow. Okay. So you record on the Dead Walk, and you guys were signed to Prosthetic at the time. Were you already signed when you joined the band, or did you get to be a part of that?
3750 was their first record with Prosthetic. I think they originally put it out on Devil's Head, which was Toby, Adam D's brother. It was his record label. And that's also how they put out In Life Is Very Long. But I think they originally put it out on Devil's Head, and then Prosthetic took it and like put it out.
Really, like they signed him off that or something?
And I think they signed him off, and I think they re-released and like, you know, redistributed that way through Prosthetic. And then I think it was up to Wormwood, I believe, was our last record with Prosthetic.
And then you guys are now signed to Rise, which is huge and amazing.
yeah, it's Rise. I gotta say, everybody over there has treated us so well this entire time we've been with them. Like honestly, I would be fine sticking with everybody that works there for the rest of my career, because it's been great. They're just really good people over there.
That's awesome. I want to kind of go over your records here. I know you have a lot, but I'm wondering like, if you can give me like maybe like a milestone or like a highlight for you from each album. Like Continent, what would you say like the pivotal moment for that record was? Like, was there?
I would say that's the last record that we because DL it was basically just me and DL writing that whole record.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, obviously besides lyrics, because at that point we were only a 4-piece. It was me, DL, Jack Strong and bass, and then Vincent, obviously, in vocals. But that was the last time that I even have sat down. I don't know, we did a Coma Witch a little bit this way, but we had a friend that had a studio that was allowing us to go in after hours and just use it to write and like record pre-pro. So we had 2 or 3 months that we would go there. It felt like sometimes every single day of the week, and we would just sit there and just from 8 p.m. until 12 the next day, we had free reign of the place.
Wow.
So we would spend some very long nights in there just writing, recording pre-pro. And that was the last time I can remember really just sitting there with just me and another musician in a room and just writing that way. And then everything after usually every record after that's been, technology has taken over where everybody can just record something on the computer and put it in Dropbox and then just pass notes back and forth. So, everybody, it's convenient, but I miss sitting down and sitting in a room and not wearing earplugs and not being able to hear right for the next couple days because, and then just having that feeling of just sitting there for, 4 or 5 hours and then just writing a whole song and then being happy with it. Like it's been a very long time since we've done that. But I would say that's probably, as far as like a milestone or like favorite thing about that record, I would say that's the last time I was part of like the old school writing process of just sitting down and hashing it out together.
Sure. And then so with their going forward, like Wormwood and stuff was written a totally different way.
Yes, that was Wormwood, Death is the Only Mortal. Those both were the last two with DL. And same thing, it was him writing riffs and then like programming some drums to him and then emailing me stuff. And then, I'd give him some notes, tweak little things here or there, maybe repeat this part here. Let's get rid of this part there. And then I would be able to, the way DL and I wrote together is something I still haven't experienced since. Him and I have probably, we were locked in together more than I think I have been with anybody else. Nothing against everybody else in the band now. I love the way that we approach the writing process and how it's all done. But as far as just having, I guess, the same brain for music, DL and I were very, very, very similar. And we just knew exactly what direction to go, when and where and all that. It was, we almost didn't even have to tell each other what was going to happen. It was just, we just knew.
Yeah.
So that was the whole writing process with sending stuff back and forth with him was very easy. And then when it came, he has such a percussive style of playing guitar too, where it was easy to write drums to. And a lot of the drums that he would write in those pre-pro things, some of it was, they make jokes now that like guitar players program impossible drums expecting that their drummers can play them, play the part. So you need to be Goro to be able to pull off some of the stuff that they're trying to make you do. But Yeah, so there'd be some parts where like, hey, like that's literally humanly impossible. So we need to like dumb that
Scale
down
it
just a
back.
little bit. I mean, it's like it sounds really cool, but like there's nobody that can ever play that.
Mhm.
So we just a lot of just sending files back and forth, sending notes, and then I would call him. We would just sit there on the phone for a few hours going over a song, and I would like mouth him the drum part or like try to explain to him or like write down on a piece of paper real quick, like a little grid on how it should go. And that's, yeah. So.
Wow. Yeah. What an interesting like turn for songwriting for you guys.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's how it's going now for a lot of people. I know a lot of people are, a lot of people are fortunate enough to, be really close to each other. Like, us right now, like we're so spread out. That's basically the only chance. It's like the only way we have really to to write nowadays.
Yeah, you're all over different, just different places.
Yeah, me and Vincent, we both live fairly close to each other in upstate New York, and then Tom, he lives in North Carolina. Griffin lives in Iowa, and Devin lives in California. So it's
wow, so you
kind of impossible.
Yeah, do you just get together and jam before a tour or something like that usually, or how does that work?
Yeah. Well, everybody will come out like a week or so before a tour starts, and then everybody will, go through all their gear and make sure it all works still, because it's been sitting in a practice space for a few months, and just knock all the rust off. And then, I mean, we all get it together pretty quickly once we all start jamming together.
Yeah,
so
been doing it for a while now.
Yeah, we're all pros here, so
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so then with Death is the Only Mortal, that was your first record with Rise,
right? Yep.
How did they approach you, and was your deal up with Prosthetic? Why'd you guys go over to Rise?
we were done with Prosthetic, and it was it was just time for a change. And our manager at the time, Scott, we were all thinking about different labels and stuff like that. And I think he had mentioned, Rise, might be a good fit. I know Craig, Craig Erickson, he was the owner at the time. He's no longer there now, but, he hit up Craig. And I think literally within 20 minutes, Craig was like, yeah, I'm down. Here's an offer.
Oh,
and we were like, oh, okay. Because, we had, Scott had put in work and had emailed a few other labels. But nobody was just like, boom, yes, here we go. Here's an offer. And it was a very, very nice offer, considering like the size of the band we were at the time. It was we were like, oh shit. All right, cool. Someone, it's like, it was nice that someone like right away, I feel like, knew what we were worth, at least at that point. And I feel like they were being even generous. But and then we were like, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. And he was like, all right, cool. How's it sound if I fly out next week and we all, we just get together and go out to dinner or something? And he lives in Oregon. We're all on the East Coast, and it's like, wow, okay, yeah, let's do this. Let's go to Chili's and have never-ending fajitas. That sounds great. And then so that started our relationship with Rise, and it was just, it was such a good feeling, knowing that he had bands that were 10 times bigger than us, but still treating us as if we were like, we were one of those bands. Instantly made us feel like family. Anything we needed, they would help do best they can to take care of it for us. It was just really, it was just amazing feeling, appreciated, and that our questions are, everything was answered, and it just felt good to, have that mutual respect and like, want to work together. So.
Were you guys doing like your own headlining tours at this point when you signed to Rise?
At that point, yes. I think we were, it was before, it was honest, the last tour we did before we sat down to write Continent. It was like the very end of the Dead Walk record cycle. That's when we did our first like real US headliner.
Oh, okay.
I think we did one previous to that. It was us, Job for a Cowboy. They were our
wow,
direction. Yeah. Yeah, they
is
were
that
our
band even
direction
around
for it.
anymore?
I think I saw something recently that they're like gonna like just put out like a record for fun kind of thing.
Okay.
Um,
Wow. So okay, so
but I can't see them going full time again. I know John Rice, the drummer, he's playing in like 85 bands right now, filling in for
is he?
people. Or yeah, that kid's done very well for himself, and it's well deserved because he is insane on the drum kit.
That's cool. I didn't realize that. I remember the band obviously in there because they're a huge deal. In the
MySpace.
2000s.
Yeah, in the MySpace days. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
So you guys got to tour with them. That was a co-headlining tour.
Yeah, that was like we headlined every night, but it was at kind of like the height of their.
Okay, they started
not exactly. Yeah, so like when their hype was like really, really, really starting to blow them up.
Cool.
Yeah. So then we did it was the Crashing Through the Holidays tour at the end of that year. I think it was 2007, maybe 2006. I think it was 2000. Yeah, it was 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was after that tour where over the next few months was when the whole Continent recording process started.
Okay.
And then up until for a few years we were doing support tours, and then like little headlining runs, and then hopping on some of those mini summer festival tours that would last a couple years, like like Sounds of the Underground. We did one of those. There was the tour that was supposed to replace that was called the Cool Tour, and I think we did the one and only Cool Tour that there was. As Lay Dying was the headliner, and Between the Buried and Me was on it.
Oh wow.
Architects was on it. A few other, I forget who else was on that tour. But yeah, I would say it was probably after Wormwood came out was when we started to do more and more, like headlining tours, like full US like headlining tours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when Rise signed you, you had already been touring as far as like headlining full time, and yep. Did they put you on any big tours with some of their artists right when you signed with them, or what they kind of do?
No, I think, well, for when we first joined with Rise, we were the only, I guess, I mean, they obviously had heavy bands, but we were the only band like us on Rise, like as heavy as we were. I think we might even still be the heaviest band that's on Rise.
Yeah, they don't have too many like really heavy bands, but
right.
I don't know, maybe
yeah, they don't, there's nothing, as heavy, I would say.
Sure.
So no, we didn't really do any tours with any of their other bands, but in a way, like the way that we worked with them, it was like we both just knew, like we let them do their thing for us, and then they let us do our thing also for ourselves. Like we knew what bands, like when we did headliners, we knew how we wanted to do them. We had like a decent formula going for those. And then when it came to supporting tours, we knew which ones we would want to do and which ones we didn't want to do. So yeah, they really let us do our own thing, which was nice. We never felt, pressured or like we were being told what we had to do or not.
So so at that point you were able to they let you kind of pick and choose what you wanted to do. Like if you,
right.
Cause at that point you had enough success where you could turn stuff down or kind of like do what you guys wanted to do. Right.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Very cool. I want to hear about, okay. So that Death is the Only Mortal was the first Rise record. Then you put out Coma Witch. What was the highlight from Coma Witch?
Highlight from Coma Witch would be that we now had somebody else to write songs. So we had DL had left the band in between. So we had Devin Scheidecker, which is still our one of our guitar players now, and then we had Richie Gomez. So it was a very different experience having two new brains in the mix for me to write with.
Oh yeah.
And they both had two very distinctive styles, as opposed to how I used to always just be with DL with his one distinct style. And then like with some of the songs for Coma Witch, we actually did get to sit down and just jam it out and write songs, which was nice. That was fun. But then more than half of that record was all digitally passed around and files back and forth, because even then Richie was in California, Devin lived in Ohio still at the time. So yeah, when your two main songwriters don't live anywhere near you, it's hard to
yeah,
it slows down, but it's still quick at the same time, because they're able to do stuff on their own time and then just email you files and stuff.
Sure.
But I'd say, the highlight though for Coma Witch as a whole was it was our highest charting record. It was in the top 40. I have this cool plaque behind me that has from Billboard that has
amazing.
There's the top 200, or we were number 31 top 200, number 1 hard rock, number 8 top rock, number 4 independent, number 5 internet, and it's just funny to have our name on the same list as like who's on there right now? Like the Stevie Nicks 24 karat gold song collection was like was number 30, and then there's Acacia Strain, number 31. Like that was wild.
That's rad. They sent you that plaque. How dope.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Wow. Did they do like a whole thing, or did you just get like an email saying, "Hey, we're sending you this plaque in the mail"?
I think it was them and Rise were like in cahoots with that. Like it's kind of like a little present / surprise for everybody.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I remember the mail coming in. I was on tour. And then who I was living with, they were like, "Hey, there's like this big package here for you." And I was like, "Really?" I I didn't order anything. So like, open it, see what it is. So they open it, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
It was like, wow, that's it's something something I never thought I would have hanging on my wall.
Yeah, how cool. That's awesome. And then the next, you guys put out Gravebloom was the next record, and that was still with Rise Records.
Yep. And in between that, Richie had left the band. So then
you got the new bass player.
Yeah, and then Jack left the band. Then we got Griffin, and I love Jack to death, but he through the writing process, he never really there was never really anything from Jack that came out in the writing process. He I don't know why. It was just, I guess he was kind of just always overlooked in a way, which if he listens to this, I'm sorry, Jack. Like, it was just me and DL were just so locked in. It was just, somebody else getting in the mix. I guess it seemed like it might have thrown off the formula we had, but either way. So Griffin, he being a guitar player predominantly, having his taste thrown into the mix too was very good. So that record, it was me, Devin, and Griffin writing that, which was another one where we everything was pretty much sent back and forth digitally on files and Dropbox, and then there was we all met up at Griffin's studio in Des Moines for a week, and we sat there with a bunch of skeletons we had with songs and random riffs here and there that we had that we were able to turn into full songs. So that record was something that was drawn out for so long, and then when it was just like all of a sudden with boom, it was like just ready to go.
Wow.
I feel like that record too was a very good depiction of how everybody was feeling in their lives at the time. It was a very dark time for a lot of us personally, and I feel like that record definitely reflected the emotional state that most of us were in at that time. That's definitely, I would say, our darkest, doomiest record. But I guess I would say for a highlight for that one was I'd say Griffin being in the band and having his style thrown in, where you can tell the differences between all of our records, which ones were with DL, and then which Coma Witch differs from those, and then how Gravebloom differs from those, and then now that we have Tom Smith in the band, our EP, it comes in waves, and then up to slow decay.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell the very big difference between those also. So
Sure.
for this band has gone through so many members and fill-in members and all that stuff, but I think that we have made out in the best way possible for the way everything has happened, because we've been able to sound like stay the same but also sound different with every record.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily the people that we've had be in the band and write songs and record songs have been, in my opinion, some of the most talented people I've played music with. So it's worked out for us big time. I know a lot of bands that fall apart when they have to get a new guitar player every record, it seems like.
Sure, yeah.
But it's worked out for us very well.
That's good. Nice, yeah. Was there a reason that you guys put out the EP on Closed Casket Activities, or was it just like a one-off thing?
Well, we Slow Decay is technically it is, but it isn't our last record with Rise. It's it's one of those kind of up in the air things where like there's options to stay or go. That's all
gotcha.
logistic stuff. But we didn't want to, I guess, necessarily use that up on just like an experimental EP that we wanted to put out, because
sure. Okay. You didn't want to use that as your final record on the contract or something.
Right. So we had Closed Casket, which we've known Justin Loudon now for quite a while. He's the owner of Closed Casket. He's local to Vincent and I in New York. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to do something different, experimental, and why not try to put it out with somebody else? And when we approached Rise with it, they were very cool. And all they cared about was just having their logo also on it somewhere. Mm-hmm. Because we are courtesy of Rise Records, but Closed Casket is distributing and put all the money in for it. Mm-hmm. So it was I gotta say, I feel like a risk that we took that turned out to be a pretty good one.
Yeah,
because it was received and still gets received. I mean, it's only been out for 6-7 months now, well, 8 mm-hmm. months, but it's it was we were very, very surprised with the reaction we got from that. We were not sure how that was going to go. Mm-hmm.
Well, the new record looks like it's doing really well as well, and it just came out, right?
Yeah, that came out just under a month ago.
And it looks like you're going to be getting another plaque, from what I see.
That'd be pretty cool, man. We
number one on the rock charts.
We were number one.
Music, independent.
Yeah, we were number one on I think 4 or 5 categories, and then we were number 5 on top album sales, which it was Taylor Swift, Logic, I think some rapper, and then I think it was like the Hamilton soundtrack, and then Acacia Strain.
That's crazy.
and all in the midst of a global pandemic, which blows my mind that it's like the way that we released this record and everything too. I feel like it's just the timing for it was just impeccable. Mm-hmm. It was how we released it was the 5 EPs, spacing everything out, keeping people on their toes, changing the times in between releases, so people were expecting something and then like 2 weeks went by and nothing came out, but then all of a sudden, boom, 3 weeks later, here's another 2 songs. Mm-hmm. And then eventually having the full release with all 12 songs on it. But yeah, the way that it all panned out, and the name of the album, Slow Decay, is very, it's this world is falling apart right now as we know
Yeah.
it. This country especially. So yeah, it was very humbling how this
Yeah.
all panned out, man. It's mind blowing. When I think about it now, still, I'm like, holy shit, man.
I know, it's what a cool way to
Can't believe it.
put it out too. You did like A, B, C, D, right, with just two songs.
Yeah, it's spelt out Decay, so it was like, Decay.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
So D came out first, or D came out fifth?
No, it was
or did you put D, E, C? Okay.
Yeah, it came out in order of how do you spell the word decay.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but then, it was 7-inch for each one, and then all of the artwork, came together to make one big piece of art.
That's dope.
Yeah, and that was all Vincent's idea. Basically trying to pay homage to how like 15, 20 years ago when bands, to remind people they were still relevant, would put out little singles on 7 inches, like especially hardcore bands and metal bands would put out little 7 inches or like cassette singles, just to make people remember that they're out there. And you'd go to your local record store and there would be like that little 7-inch section, like the little single section. And that's how you found out about new bands. That's how you remembered other bands, bands still existed, just constantly giving you music, like 2 new songs here or there, just constantly remind you that they're out there. Because you didn't have the convenience of the internet or streaming websites, or just
Sure.
literally you don't even have to put in effort now to find new music. All you got to do is go on Spotify or go on Apple Music and then click on a playlist, and
right.
then you're gonna hear 30 new bands within a couple hours. So yeah, basically he took that whole like idea, and then luckily Rise was game for it, and yeah, it turned out to be quite a success. And also, especially nowadays in this climate of music, the way the music industry has changed, it changes every single year, so you have to keep it interesting, and you have to keep it try to keep it fresh. And luckily we have someone like Vincent in our band that his brain is very good at figuring out those new and fresh ways to keep people interested in things. So yeah, his master plan definitely worked out very well for us.
Yeah, and I love the vinyl, like the red and black, like splattered vinyl that you guys did.
Yeah, there was
cool.
quite a few different variants for that. Especially each 7-inch had a few different variants, and then even the full length vinyl has a few different variants also.
That's awesome. And are you guys doing like the Facebook or Instagram live stuff at all, like the live streams?
No, as of right now, because obviously there's not going to be any sort of word as to when real live music can go back to the way it was.
Sure.
For us personally, we don't want to play a show or do any sort of live thing until we can do it in a room full of 200 sweaty kids screaming and yelling and beating each other up.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Because for us, our live shows are known for being rather intense and in your face, so it would feel weird to me, just playing in a room and having a bunch of cameras around that are streaming us, over the internet. Some band like Suicide Silence, I think they were absolutely genius with doing that like virtual tour that they did. Like,
I didn't see theirs.
I watched like a couple songs, a couple nights when they did it, but such a genius idea. But for us personally, it's just something that I don't think, at this time right now, like we have zero interest in that. Plus, being able to get together to do something like that would be it's very hard, since like I said before, how spread out throughout the country we are with where everybody lives. And since we just put out the record, like we're supposed to be on tour right now.
Yeah.
But that was canceled and was moved to the end of the year. But I'm very confident that that's definitely not going to happen either. So, I mean, I want to be optimistic by saying that touring will be back, club show touring will be back maybe fall of next year. And that all depends on, a vaccine and all that stuff.
Putting
and
their
making
masks
sure,
on.
people staying safe and doing what they're supposed to. But I mean, as far as like full swing touring, that's probably not going to be for a couple of years, unfortunately. Probably 2022, summertime of 2022. Every band in the world is going to be trying to tour.
Yeah,
so
I know. I heard that like a lot of venues are booked out like for bands that are trying to hopefully book something, say 2021. Like everything's already held because all the 2020 dates got pushed. So if you're trying something new, you're like, well, I guess I can book something at this venue in 3 years from now because it's already backed up. But
and that's even if some of these venues are still going to be around.
Oh, I know.
That's a sad thing too. A lot of these venues, like there's a few venues around here that are up for sale now because it's just that's how they survived, was doing little hardcore shows and like little indie band shows, a few nights a week, and now they have nothing. Like it's just it's sad. It's very, very sad.
Yeah, some of the best clubs I'm sure across the country are the ones that are going to be the best ones. Are going to be the ones, unfortunately, that are going to close because they're the smaller, more DIY clubs. But
in a way too, those clubs are going to go down, and then you got bigger companies like the Live Nations and stuff out there that are. I just hope I have a theory that a lot of these small clubs are going to shut down, but then Live Nation and those other bigger production companies are going to swoop in and buy those venues and then turn it into this one big monopolized.
Like a House of Blues type situation, but
it's going to be say
worldwide.
For instance, like so, there's a venue in Albany called the Fuse Box, and it's very tiny. It's like a 200 cap, if that room, probably 150. But like say there's and there's a Fuse Box in every city. There's that favorite little dive bar club that hardcore shows happen at. There's one in every city. And those are the ones that are getting hardest hit. Those are the ones that are having to sell. Those are the ones that are going to be closing doors forever. But those are going to be the venues, like I'm saying, that like Live Nation are going to be like, well, these venues survived for so long putting on these shows for a reason, because obviously they made up a couple bucks here or there. So let's just swoop in and we'll take it. And now it's, now everything's going to be under our guidelines and our, our crazy, insane cuts of money and stuff like that. So
that's interesting. Because they could even book like a band, like if you guys were small enough to do 200 cap rooms, say, they could just put you at every one of their clubs throughout the whole country and be like, okay, there's your tour.
Yeah. COVID in the way unfortunately is going to become the death of the independent promoter. So hopefully it's not as bad as the longer this gets drawn out, the more of a chance that those independent promoters, aren't promoters anymore.
Right.
So it's honestly it's just a one big waiting game. And I want it to be over ASAP.
I can't imagine.
I want to get back to my quote unquote normal life, but
Right. You have like a kid. I'm sure you have a kid at your house, so you've been able to play, but
we our friend of ours, he has like this little barn behind his house that he also has his bands practicing there. So that's where all of our gear is. So since the tour we were on got cut short because of COVID and we all came home, I've been over there a few times, but I've honestly been taking most of this time to spending a lot of time with my daughter and, doing other stuff to make money during Corona.
Sure. Yeah. Wow. So you guys were on tour when coronavirus happened?
Yeah,
where were you?
We were in California.
Oh, that's where I'm at. What part?
We the last show we played was at Chain Reaction.
Okay.
In
Pomona.
Anaheim.
Oh, Anaheim, yeah.
Yeah. So we it was the day before that we knew that the rest of the tour after that show was going to be canceled. Because it was like, you know, that whole week leading up, it was like, all right, COVID's hit this area, like, you know, mass gatherings up to 1,000 people, that's it. And then anything over 1,000 people is banned. And we're like, oh, okay, all of our shows will be fine. And then the next day, it's like anything 500 and over is banned. And it's like, okay, some of these shows might have to get moved. And it's like, any gatherings of 50 people and over is banned. And then we're like, what the fuck? What are we going to do?
You're like,
and then the next thing you know, it's like, all right, yeah, bars, music venues, anywhere that gatherings can happen, doors are shutting, everything's closing. And we were like, you know, all of us are like, what are we going to do? Like, you know, touring is our main income to get us through the year. So that was a big scary thing. We kind of were all just like, shit, man. Well, I guess we're going to have to all figure it out.
Yeah, I know.
But, you know, luckily all of us have been safe and we haven't had to deal with any real tragedy close to us. But, you know, it makes I feel for everybody that has been, you know, directly affected by this. It's very sad. It's very unfortunate. But, and the worst part is knowing that certain people could have made sure this was prevented and not as bad as it was, but they wanted to pretend like they knew everything. And, you know, I'm not speaking about anybody in particular here.
But yeah, I know. It's wild that the whole world is like completely shut down. Like that's what was so bizarre to me. It's just like, so crazy.
Yeah, and then all the crazy rumors going around at first, like people seeing like military vehicles, places that like, you know, state borders are gonna shut down and you're gonna be stuck where you are and all this. And then when people first heard, you know, shelter in place, they're imagining, you know, the military is gonna be patrolling the streets, and if you try to leave your house, you're gonna get arrested. And it's like, Jesus Christ, everybody, calm down. Like, stop. It's like, stop watching a YouTube video for your fucking information on this stuff, you know? It's like, it's insane.
Totally, man. Well, hopefully this all blows over soon and, you know, you guys can get back out on the road and tour this new record you guys just put out. And
I honestly can't wait, man. Can't wait.
Well, and can't wait to see your new Billboard plaque. For the new record.
I'm hoping I'll have to scoot that one either up or down, make some room for the new one.
For the new one, totally, man. Thank you so much, Kevin, for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
I have one more question before I let you go, if that's cool. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I'm going to steal. So Tom, our guitar player, I heard him answer a question like this in an interview recently, and I'm totally going to steal his answer. Honestly, like, depending on, all right, if you're already a band and you're trying to be, you know, trying to get on tours, trying to get on shows, or if you're just a single musician trying to fill in for bands or trying to join a band, basically, for a lack of better words, you just got to be annoying. You got to be persistent. For every 100 shots you take, you can get shot down 99 times, but then there's going to be that one opportunity that, say, your band, like some other bands, like, all right, you guys can come out with us for a couple of weeks. You can be the opening slot, but you're going to get paid like gas money basically to go from show to show. And it's like, all right, yes, got it. You got it. We'll be there every single day. We'll be there early, whatever you want. You want help setting up, whatever. Do whatever you have to do. Because there's going to be another band on that tour that you're going to become friends with. And they're going to be doing a headlining tour in a couple months. And then you're going to open up for them. And then eventually you're going to be the people that are doing the headliner and bringing someone you know on tour. And then it's all a chain reaction. Same thing if you're just a single musician trying to get yourself somewhere, just be super annoying to the point where you finally one of your shots gets taken and you fill in for somebody and someone sees you on that tour, and then like, another band on the tour is like, hey, we have this guitar player that they're going to be having a kid, so they can't do this one tour, that we have in the summer. Do you want to fill in for guitar? Like, we've seen you play every night. You're solid. You're good. We're friends now. Like, we don't have to go searching for somebody. If it works out for you, it works out for us. Mm-hmm. And then it just, just basically just don't be an asshole and you're good to go.